Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about my Q3 and my July goals. I am changing things up a little bit this quarter, and instead of separating out quarterly goals and monthly goals, I decided to split it between reflection and upcoming. I don't really know what the opposite of that word is. So a couple days ago, the video that went live was my June action steps, reflection, and then reflecting on Q2. And so if you watched that video, awesome. Thank you so much. If you didn't, that's okay. This video is going to be its own thing. I might reference some things from that video because truthfully, I had to carry over some goals from last quarter, but this video will totally stand on its own as well. It is going to be all of my quarterly goals, both my personal goals and business, and then my July action steps for my personal goals. So let's actually start with my business goals, because I just got done talking about my business goals. I'm filming these videos behind the scenes, back to back, even though you're seeing them a couple of days apart, or maybe you're watching them back to back too, depending on when you're watching them. But I just got done talking about my business goals, and since the action steps will be for my personal goals, I feel like that flow makes more sense. And if you have no desire to listen to me talk about my business goals, I will leave the timestamp down below and you could jump straight to my quarterly goals. In last quarter's video, I kind of talked about, maybe I'm gonna reference that video more than I thought. I talked about how I'm still learning and figuring out how to best set goals for my business, working for myself, that keep me motivated, that are realistic, but also inspiring and exciting, and especially how that has changed now that I have a baby. Because when I first started working for myself, I maxed out my hours. I worked as many hours as I possibly could within the confines of like my social life and my need for rest, and filled as many business projects as I could within those hours. Now that I'm a mom, I want to spend time with my baby as much as possible. I love her, and I created a business and built something that I had flexibility so that I could spend as much time with her as possible. So I've kind of reverse engineered how I manage my time with my business. I pick the projects that I want to do, and I figure out how long they're going to take, and then I put those hours into my calendar. And from a recurring task standpoint, and the stuff that I actually have to get done to keep my business rolling, the community, my YouTube channel, etc., it's good. It's working. I am following through. But from the extra side projects and things that I want to do to further grow my business, it's not working. So I am constantly trying to figure out how to balance it and figure it out. And all right, I just had to delete a bunch of footage off my camera, and now my brain cannot remember what I was talking about. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about my quarterly business goals. I am trying some different things this quarter. I also have more than I've ever had before. I think I was kind of lumping myself into the mindset. I use the HB90 system from Sarah Cannon from Heart Breathings, which I will leave all that linked down below if you're interested in more information. And she is constantly saying in her videos and her system to make it work for you, to take what she has created and adjust as need be. And I have done that over the years, but I think one of the things I was trying to hold to was only having 3 goals, and I don't think that works for me. So this quarter, I'm trying something a little bit different and having 6 goals instead of 3, and they're a little bit smaller, which I think is going to be a better fit for me. I also tried to get really specific with the breakdown, and I got like not very granular, but a lot more granular than I'd done in the past, so that I could estimate exactly how long I think each of these goals are going to take me to complete. Now, is it going to be perfect? No. There is no way I can know exactly how long each of these things are going to take, but by estimating it individually by step as opposed to the goal overall, which is what I've done before, I think that was really helpful. If that's not, if you're still kind of confused, I am planning to film a video where I do a complete breakdown of this process for me over the course of the quarter. I want to film it in real time of like me working on my quarterly goals, and this quarter was just not going to be the one I could do that for because of all of our travel. But I am hoping that the transition from Q3 to Q4, that I can film this whole process for you like from a behind the scenes standpoint, so that it really makes sense. So after I mapped out the things that I would like to do in my business in Q3, and I broke them all down and I estimated how long each of those steps would take, then I split that time, those hours, over the course of the quarter. So I took out all the days that I wasn't planning to work, and I mapped it out over the course of the quarter. and I have a goal of time spent working, which feels counterintuitive to I want to work the amount I need to work and spend the rest of the time with my daughter. But at the same time, I want to accomplish these goals and these projects. And so it all kind of works together. So even though I do have 6 goals that I'm going to tell you about here, 2 of them are really kind of like summary goals, if you will, of the overarching business for the quarter. And then there's 4 like specific goals. So the first one, as always, is a revenue goal. And I'm going back to numerical goals, setting numerical goals for the ones that it makes sense for. I got away from setting numerical goals a couple of quarters ago because I just didn't feel like they were necessary for me. I felt like, well, I'm going to work on it anyway without the numerical goal. Maybe they were necessary. Maybe that numerical goal inspires me a little bit and gets me excited. And in fact, the sheet that I am writing on in this video is not, I actually redid it. So I'm still using the clips because I wasn't going to refilm me writing it down. But what I did was and I'll have my editor pop up a picture on the screen with like the actual numbers blurred out. But I decided to not only write the goal, but then put little dots so I can track my progress throughout the quarter, right? So I've covered up some of the dots. You can't see exactly how many dots there are, but for the revenue goal, I have 3 numbers, a good, a better, and a best. And then I have enough dots if I were to hit the best. So every time that I check in with my business numbers, I'm gonna check in with my revenue and I'm gonna give myself little check marks so I can see the progress over the course of the quarter at how I am doing on those goals. And I'm really excited about that because I feel like being able to see that progress is, even if I'm not gonna hit it, even if I'm not gonna check every little circle, it's going to help inspire me and motivate me to keep going and to keep focused on the rest of these goals. So the revenue goal, as always, is a culmination of all of the things within my business. And I always give it this pink color because that is the color of the sticky notes for the recurring tasks that I use. All the colors here match a sticky note, except the last one, which we'll get to, for the action steps that will go on my Kanban board. So the next goal is the smallest of all of them, and that is to execute on an annual survey. This is something that I've done pretty consistently over the last couple of years, where I've sent out a survey just to my email list, and it's usually pretty short. It's just a couple of questions. It's to help learn what can I do to best help you with your goals. And was it last year, I decided with a business coach that I work with that sending it in July is a better fit for my business and my audience than sending it in December or January, when a lot of businesses send out their annual survey. So this particular goal actually does not contribute to the revenue goal at all, and it does not have a numerical component either. I could have set numerical goals on getting a certain number of responses, but honestly, that's not important to me. For me, what's important about this goal is just executing on it. In terms of the dots, I just put 3 little dots, 1 to create the survey, 1 to send it out, and then 1 to evaluate the results. So even that goal that doesn't have numbers attached, I still put little dots so that I could track my progress as I'm working on it. The next quarterly goal is another one that's kind of a cheat, but I knew I needed to incorporate it into my business goals if it was something I wanted to focus on, and that is my podcast with my sister. We started this about a year ago, literally for fun. It's for fun, it's a hobby. It also does not contribute to the revenue of my business, but it is something, even though it is a hobby, it's something that I want to spend working hours working on, because it's a hobby that feels a little bit like work to me. And so I don't want to spend my like rest hours on it, if that makes sense, with the exception of recording. Actually, recording it with my sister is fun and feels like rest. All the other behind the scenes stuff of having a podcast, and we have a lot of like exciting goals and things we want to do for the podcast. So I wanted to set aside both time, like hours wise, in my business to work on the podcast, and therefore make it a goal. So the little dots next to the podcast are just about the episodes that we're gonna release over the course of the quarter. We have 2 weeks that we're gonna take off when we're out of town, but otherwise it's 1 per week over the course of the quarter. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of my actual business goals. This also feels like it's going to be the world's longest video because the number of minutes I've already been talking, and I still have 3 business goals, all my personal goals, and all of July to talk about. I hope you have like a drink or a snack, at least water. So the next one is about marketing the Goals with Laken community. And so there are a couple of components to this. One is getting the sales page updated. So that's kind of a carryover from my Q2 goal of working on the sales pages. But now, instead of making the goal about the sales pages, the goal is about the community. And the sales page update is just a component of that. Another component is a flash sale that's coming for the community. And I feel like there was one more piece to it that now my brain can't think of what it is. But then the numerical goal that I set with it are new members. My goal is to get, I have a good, better, best of new members that I would like to join the community in Q3. And so I've added little dots to check off every time a new member joins in Q3. I'm gonna give it a little check mark on my little tracker here. The next one is the planner launch. So I cannot believe that it is June and I'm sitting here talking about the 2025 planner launch, but that is how it works. I am planning to launch the planner, that sounds funny, in October for next year. That means that I have to do all the behind the scenes work in Q3. Like that's when it has to happen. So that obviously has the component of also updating the sales page for the planner, creating and designing the 2025 version, and then marketing it, sending emails, etc., launching it. And so that's what I've broken down for Q3. Now the irony I realized after I did all this planning is I did put a numerical goal to this, a good, better, best, a revenue goal for the planner. That's not going to happen till Q3. So I wrote the revenue goal, I put all the little circles, and then I realized that I'm doing all this behind the scenes work, but it's gonna launch October 1st. And so I'm not gonna be able to check that off until October, which is fine. It is what it is. The purpose of the numerical goals, well, as Sarah explains it, is to see if what you're doing works. And if you, in your head, the projects that you're picking make sense for the outcomes that you're hoping to get, right? The numbers represent the outcome that you're hoping to get. Are the steps that you're taking getting you closer to that outcome? So even though I can't actually check these off until Q4, I'm working on the behind the scenes in Q3. So those 5 all are the colors of the sticky notes that are going on my Kanban board. The last goal is the one that I told you about, that is about work hours. So it is a goal of working a certain number of task blocks. So once I mapped out all of the above and how long all of those things were gonna take me, I took out 2 weeks because there's 2 weeks that we're gonna be on vacation. And I divided the number by 11 because there's 13 weeks in quarter and I took out 2. Did I tweak the numbers slightly so that it would make it a pretty number? Yes, I did. Now, I debated on this goal whether I was going to set a good, better, and best. And I struggled for a long time because I was like, what is that? Like, what does that even look like? Where do I put the project? So I put that on the minimum, but I don't want to work more than that. I want to work those projects and get those done, and then that's it. But do I put it on the better or the best? But then if I don't work that many hours, then am I not going to hit those projects? So what I decided to do was just pick 2 numbers. I have a minimum, and then I have the number that's based on the project breakdown. And that is because I very regularly overestimate how long things are gonna take. I would rather overestimate than underestimate for me. And so it is possible that I don't need as many hours as I think I do to execute on all these projects. So I set a minimum that was a slightly lower number than the number that I need. I'm also not gonna share these numbers with you for a number of reasons, but I do have a minimum. This is the minimum that I am planning or intending to work on a weekly basis. And then I have my kind of stretch goal. And we'll see. This is the first time I'm trying this. So we're gonna see how it goes. And I also have little dots for this goal so I can track and see how it's going. And this one is one that I could potentially check them all off and be really excited about that. But also if I finish all my projects and I don't need to work that many hours, I'm okay with that too. So we'll see. It's something new that I'm trying, but I think the way that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that sounds funny, but you know what I mean. The mindset that I'm trying to have towards my business goals in Q3, it feels really good. And it feels like I'm in a good place. Fingers crossed. We'll let you know. I also am contemplating updating you on these on a monthly basis. Let me know in the comments if you would like that. I won't share an exact breakdown of all the steps that I took that month because honestly, there's a lot of nitty gritty and I don't necessarily feel like that I need to share all that. But I could share just an update of where I'm at from a quarterly goal standpoint each month. Let me know. Okay, in this world's longest goals video ever, let's move on to my Q3 personal goals. So because I'm not necessarily trying to work more than I have been. I'm trying to work smarter maybe than I have been and more focused, but also because it's summer and I want more flexible time. I want to be able to look at the weather and say, Thursday is going to be a beautiful day. I want that to be a pool day, and I'm going to move all my other commitments and my work around as need be. I wanted to have a little bit less on my plate in terms of goals. Now, I still have 6 personal goals, so maybe that was a little silly of me, but I did want to cut back at least a little bit compared to what I have done so far this year. So I have 6 goals on the personal side. The first one is related to my make time for myself. Oh, I did something else different before I jump into these. Hold on. All of 6 of these goals still fall under my 4 annual goals. That is still true, but I did decide to give it 2 new colors because even though they fall under the same annual goals, sometimes these quarterly goals are very different. And I wanted them to have different colors. So they're kind of close, like they're similar colors, but they're different. So I didn't add new annual goals. I just added 2 new colors to kind of be able to differentiate on my monthly trackers. So the first one is related to my make time for yourself goal, and it's still that same color, that same orange, and that is to prioritize some hobbies. And I was vague on this piece of paper that I wrote it down. I have 2 specific hobbies that I am trying to prioritize time for in Q3. One is getting back into baking. I started this last summer where I was baking and decorating cookies, and I was having so much fun with it, and I want to get back into that. And the second one is to play the piano. I want to get back into that as well. So you'll see that in the July section of the action steps I'm taking towards those. But I was going to write them both out, and then I just decided to write the word hobbies, but it's those 2 specific things. The next one is to spend less time on my phone. And this one is its own new color. It could be the make time for myself. It could be any of them, because truthfully, if I'm spending less time on my phone, I am doing any number of the other things in my life that I want to be doing. So that one is a carryover from last quarter. We might try some new things this quarter though to hopefully be a little bit more successful. The next one is related to like family fun and memories. But it also got a new color because it also could be making time for myself, and that is to work on some photo albums. Some of them are some physical, actual like scrapbooking albums, but then some of them are also like digital photo albums. I never finished our wedding ones that I started and never finished, and I promised our parents a long time ago, so I need to do those. I also want to do one for my daughter as she approaches 1, also so I can send them to our parents. And then I need to finish December daily from last year, and I want to do that. And then there's one more on my list, but I can't remember what it is now, because I was like, if I do 1 a month and just get through those 3, I'm going to feel really good about that. So that's kind of the goal that I'm working towards, is 1 a month, getting through those 3, but I have a 4th one on there just in case I have some extra time. The next quarterly goal is to plan and host 2 parties. Again, these are already planned and are specific. Although I just realized that I'm not hosting. Did I just plan Q3 thinking October was like part of Q3? Maybe it should be in my head. Anyways, the first one is my daughter's first birthday party. That one is in Q3. Her birthday is September 1st. So that's really exciting. And then the second one is a Halloween party. And I think I talked about this somewhere last year. I wanted to host a consistent holiday party. Like I wanted to pick a holiday and I wanted to host a party for that holiday every year that we could. So last year was the first annual Shrum holiday party. Or Halloween party, and this year will be the second annual Shrum Halloween party. So that one is really more planned in Q3, but again, like the planner I talked about in the business section, will be executed in Q4. The next one is probably no surprise if you watched my Q2 video, and that is to implement a cleaning routine. I have it all planned out. I have a good rhythm of monthly and weekly tasks. I'm just adding some new tasks into that rhythm and routine that are specific to cleaning in our house. And then the last one is related to my kitchen goal, and that is to incorporate new meals. Because Q2 was kind of chaotic and I was just kind of coasting in the kitchen, I was cooking a lot of the same things. And that worked, it worked, and there's definitely a confidence level of cooking things that I know that we like, and I know how to cook and I know what the ingredients we need are. I want to get back to some new stuff and incorporating some new meals into our routines, especially now that my daughter is eating real food, which is so fun. So that is my Q3 goal for enjoying being in the kitchen. Okay, that didn't take me as long as I thought it was going to. I don't know if I just didn't dig as deep into my quarterly goals as I normally do, because it is a nice flow right into talking about July and these action steps that relate exactly to those quarterly goals. So let's start with the one-time action steps. Actually, before we do that, just like I wanted to keep my quarterly goals on the lower side, I also wanted to keep my monthly action steps on the lower side. We actually don't have a ton, well, that's not totally true. We're gonna be out of town till July 8th. So that's part of it too. And I probably will end up drawing a whole line through the first week of July. And because we're gonna be at the beach with my family, and I don't wanna be worrying about my goals at that point. I wanna take a week off and enjoy that vacation with my family. So I really won't start these goals until the second week of July, but I also wanted to keep things simple in July. Yes, it is hurting me a little bit that a new quarter and a new month are all starting on a Monday, and I am going to be out of town and not being able to like really soak up the umph of that day. Anyways, one-time steps. The first one is related to the hobbies goal, and that is to do one set of cookies. I think one of the things that was holding me back with this goal, in addition to the time, because it is time consuming, but it also doesn't all have to be done at once. Like I can make the dough and I could even not cook them right that moment, right? I can make the dough and put it in the fridge or the freezer. Then I can bake the cookies, then make the frosting, then decorate the cookies. Like it can be done. It doesn't have to all be done in one chunk. I also think I had this mindset that I needed a special occasion to make the cookies for. And don't get me wrong, I may make cookies for my daughter's birthday party, but it could just be for fun. Like I could just be making a set of cookies, like one batch. It doesn't have to be, like last year when I started the hobby, I made a set of cookies for my brother and future sister-in-law's engagement party. And so not only was I worried about them like looking perfect, but then I also made like 40 because there were gonna be 40 people there. I don't need to make 40 cookies to enjoy the process of making cookies. I can literally just make one batch of dough, which is like 15 to 20, kind of depending on the shapes of the cookies, and like call it a day. So my goal in July is to do one set of cookies. Even though, like I said, we are out of town till July 8th, after that, we don't have as much going on. Like our weekends are pretty empty. So that gives me, I'm looking at a calendar, 3 full weekends. I can make one set of cookies. The next two one-time items are related to my daughter's birthday, and the first one is to get the invites sent out. My sister is helping me design them. She's actually almost done with the design. So I may even get a little bit of a head start and send that out in June, but I have it down on my July list, and then start to plan. I think I wanna probably fully plan. I mean, her birthday is September 1st, so August will mostly be like shopping and executing and stuff, so I do probably wanna finish the plan in July. And then the last one-time step is to make a list of the new meals that I want to start working on. All right, the weekly steps. The first weekly step is to spend some time on the piano. I did not put any limitations on it. Even if I just go sit down and play for 5 minutes, that counts to me. I just want to start getting in the habit. And I actually bought myself a new piano book that I'm really excited about to help making me excited again. Sometimes I am very much a proponent of like, it's a reward. Like I could have set it up where if I sit at the piano however many times, then I get to buy myself a new book. But I also know myself, and I know that if I have the new book, I'm gonna be more excited to do it. So that is the order of operations for me this month. The next weekly step is to work on photo albums. And same thing, I did not put any limitations on how long I want to spend on it. I really do think for me, this is one of those goals and action steps that as soon as I kickstart that momentum, it's going to remind me that it's not as big as I'm making it out to be in my head, and I will be able to ride that momentum and be able to get what I need to get done without putting really, really specific parameters on it. The next weekly step is to work on my monthly tasks. And this is kind of a carryover from last quarter, but I know that I am incorporating those cleaning routines into it. I did not put a number here because that is not what's important to me. Last quarter, I was on my monthly sections was putting 2 per week, because that was kind of how I broke it down. I think had 3 per week, 12 total for the month. And while some weeks I did do 2, some weeks I was moving things around because we were having company, or I was tired, or depending on where I was at in my cycle, I didn't have the energy, whatever. And so I don't want to give myself a minimum per week. I would like to do at least 1 per week. That way I'm still staying on top of them, but it doesn't have to be an exact number. So I just put monthly tasks. And then the last weekly step is to do at least 1 new meal each week. I feel like that's pretty reasonable to implement. They don't have to be super complicated, Laken. They can be simple, straightforward, easy meals, but something new that we haven't cooked before. All right, moving on to the daily items. So I always tell you, like, I want you to be excited about your goals, and I am excited. Well, that's not true. I'm not excited about this goal, but I know it's important. So the spending less time on my phone. The first one is AM phone time. I think I haven't exactly decided what this is gonna look like. Is it gonna be a time cutoff? Like, I don't open certain apps until a certain time. Is it gonna be, I can only scroll for this many minutes and then I'm done? I haven't actually decided, but I want to tackle my morning scrolling. That's what I'm trying to tackle with this. I don't know exactly what it looks like yet. We'll report back next month. And then the next one is my Instagram limit, and I need to work on that again. I don't know. I don't know. The next one is also, wow, I guess, no, the AM one is technically new, but a lot of these are carryover. The next one is a carryover, but subset within another goal, and that is to go through photos on my phone. The reason that this is still a goal is obviously not for my wedding album. Those photos already exist and somebody already combed through them. It's for the one of my daughter, of her like first year of life. And so I am jumping ahead in my going through my photos. I think I was in like 2021 in my app. I use an app called Get Sorted. I'm jumping ahead to 2023 so I can go through the ones that include my daughter, and so I can have the photos gone through in order to work on that photo album. So that's why this is a daily goal related to that quarterly goal. And then the last one is the weekly tasks. And same thing as the monthly, I'm not setting a specific goal to necessarily do 1 or more every single day, but by having it in the daily section, I think it will encourage me to keep it top of mind. And if there's ever a time that I hesitate, like, oh, I don't really feel like doing that, if I get the check mark, I might be more encouraged to do it. So those are my action steps for my personal goals. That also didn't take as long as I thought it would. I really spent a lot of this video talking about my business goals, so hopefully you found that interesting. I know that probably isn't something everybody can relate to, because most of you here are probably here working on your personal goals, but maybe some of the mindsets will help you as well. Let me know down in the comments, what is one goal that you are excited about either in July or Q3 that you are focusing on, that you are pumped about? Let's share in the comments, and so we can all cheer you on. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. A couple of quarters ago. Pretty consistently in the, let me try again. I'll start these goals. Let me say it again. I've been watching too much Game of Thrones, and like the incest is really getting to my head.